mace. Now the wind charge itself, it's a pretty versatile item. You can use it for parkour, mace combos, unspeakable acts of terror. It's not like Minecraft's keeping track, but I can't figure out how to crash the game with them, so we're gonna need to fix that. My idea for this one is the wind cannon. Basically, it compresses wind charges together and combines them into one big mama wind charge with scaling damage and range based on the amount you use. So far, it's not really living up to the vision, honestly, but if you just keep adding cubes, it'll be too confusing to look bad. It's got a sliding mechanism. It's got these squares, which kind of look like gears if you squint really hard. This thing probably belongs in the trial chambers, so I went with a copper steampunk style for the texture. It reminds me of the Create mod a little bit because I referenced it directly the entire time. Unfortunately, the mod developer is a bit of a stickler for details, so I added these vines in these oxidized areas, you know, like it's been sitting in a swamp or a League of Legends player's bedroom. Go back. It's still kind of unclear how the mechanism works, so before we test it out in game, I made this animation where the gears pump air into this squishy bag thing. Wait, how fast can it go? Comparing it to the player model, it looks crazy. Exactly what I was going for. All right, here goes nothing.
No, that's reasonable. I think we need more though. I just did about 1,000. That should work. That should. What? Where's the ground? Wait, did I delete the entire world?
Yeah. I have full slide.
Let's pretend that didn't happen. Next weapon. For my next weapon, we start with the humble arrow. Ah, what fine construction.
Name?
Great, now I gotta go buy a new one. I don't know if it's in the budget for this one, guys. I guess I gotta ask my favorite financial tool, Rocket Money. Rocket Money is basically the all-in-one finance platform for managing your money better. It looks through all your purchases, identifies subscriptions, and helps you plan for the future. Who knows, maybe 2-3 years down the line, starting to get old, I'll get another one.
Upside down.
I'll build an army, piece by piece. I recently switched bank accounts and I needed to migrate like 3 years of random subscriptions. Turns out the whole time I've been paying for things like Netflix, electricity bill, what even is that? Rocket Money lets you cancel subscriptions with a couple of taps so you don't accidentally spend $400 on some mobile game over the next 5 years. What else? They'll help you build a budget based on spending analysis. This isn't mine though. This isn't. The credit score, they break it down for you, tell you where you can improve. That's kind of important, I'd say. So if you're ready to lock in, financially speaking, head to rocketmoney.com/DanielCraft to get started for free and join the 5 million members using Rocket Money for their finances. That's enough of that. Let's get back to the video.
My plan for this one is the wind bow. It uses special arrows that drop wind charges. That way you can move entire crowds around and whatnot. I started making a new
Nether.
unshattered arrow. Minecraft would 100% use a texture for this, but I'm a 3D artist and I don't have that self-control. Anyways, the bow itself was pretty
Mini.
easy. I haven't made one before, so it's impossible for me to overthink it. I imagine this could be another usage of the heavy core, so I mean, we have a whole set at this point. It was still feeling a little plain, so I made this swirly wind pattern for when you're charging it. And finally, I made some animations for drawing and firing. Otherwise, it just kind of sits there and jiggles around. All right, I gathered the council here. Let's see what this thing can do. I am pleased. What if we just take the frequency and just... Oh, that's so loud. With that, my time had come to an end because it was finally time for the mod developer to judge my work.
Whoa! Oh, that's so much cooler. The regular Minecraft mace just kind of feels like they slapped a rock on the end of a stick, because they did.
Mini Nether.
And this actually feels like a weapon. This doesn't feel improvised, this feels crafted. I think the breaching one, as much
Nether.
as I like it, it does feel a little bit out of place. Aside from that, I don't really have any complaints. Maybe the density is too subtle, but if you made it any more intense, it would be too much, I think.
The implementation here is pretty basic. I've been working
This is cool. This is cool.
oh, that's
This is so cool. Okay, now that I'm in-game, the hammer models look way better. Looking at them in Blender, it's great, but it's not the same, right? It's like, look at the size of the spikes. They're like bigger than my head. I'm gonna give these models a solid 8.5 out of 10. They feel chunky, they feel heavy, they are a lot better than the vanilla model, that's for sure.
I never knew this.
I really like the flanges on this one, how they are like a flat plane. That feels very Minecrafty. Let me see what this looks like in third person. Oh, that is nasty looking.
By my own
Whoa.
build right there.
I'm a little scared. My screen is shaking.
This is basically
Whoa!
like
Am I moving on your
copy-paste.
screen?
yeah, it like physically shakes you around past a certain point.
lot
Goodbye.
of
I
brains to know
really
how it
like this
works.
mace. I really like
I did
the
not know these
animation of
special
winding it up. It
works
feels really
like
good.
that.
I'm gonna give this one a
That's
9
it.
out of 10.
Imagine this combined with that like chain hook thing from earlier.
Anyway,
Oh my god.
so this looks a lot beautiful.
This definitely feels like ancient technology. It reminds me almost of Fallout a little bit. What was that, the Rocket launcher? It does feel a little clunky. Might look a little too big.
Yeah,
Oh, that looks way better now that you've showed me what it looks like on the player.
Oh,
Alright.
are you just imagining it like this?
Yes, yes, exactly.
And after
A more
that, they-
traditional. Yeah, see, that's exactly what I want. Oh, and the animation has like little, like, the
Came
hitches
out
on it. Oh,
nowhere.
I see.
I'm learning
Whoa!
not
Looks exactly like every Minecraft server I've ever played on.
I'm learning not joking.
Now that I've actually
came
held this in
out
my hand, and this isn't
nowhere.
actually your fault,
Nowhere.
every time it charges up, how it like slides off the bottom of the screen,
Obviously, I already
it makes it
expected
a little clunky. But other than that, it's fun, it looks good, it feels good, and it sounds
slow,
good.
I
So
already-
I'm gonna give this one a 7.5 out of 10.
It already
Okay,
came
so
out of
thoughts on
nowhere.
this one? I like that the breeze rods almost look like the wind is pulling them back. I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't think
Like,
there's
it
anything I don't
started
like
from
about this
here
one.
and
Does the arrow impact itself actually do anything? Or is it
Then
just
all
the...
this
I shoot it with
friction
the-
started spreading
Oh,
until it stopped spreading. My,
oh, I see. Oh, okay, this is more like what I was imagining when you described it.
wow.
Oh,
That's beautiful.
that is
This
sick.
something- Oh yeah, I didn't tell you why. it stopped
There
spreading.
isn't anything about this
It
bow
looks
that
like a
I
house
don't
over
like.
there.
The animations, the noises. Daniel, I think I have to give you a 10 out of 10 for this bow.
Thanks. Watch what happens
Wait,
when
it
you
is a
shoot this
village.
one directly up.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
It's a little village right village. Under my nose.
Oh my
Isn't that
god.
awesome?
Dude, at the end when the arrows...
This
That's
might
true.
have been here while I was
Ooh.
traveling there and I
Oh,
I juggled him for a second there.
wasn't even needed.
oh, that's two.
Oh!
Dang.
I'm retiring. That was... I don't think I could do that shot again if I tried.
Anyway,
With that, I successfully locked down a 10 out of 10 from the mod developer. Adding stuff to the game takes a while. I think it
Also
makes a
watching the
difference.
video.
Hopefully you agree.
I mean,
But
I
this
did
isn't
hear
over until it's
nothing.
10s across the board. See ya. I'm a 3D artist, and in this video, I fixed the new Minecraft update by turning everything into highly overcomplicated weapon designs, and even got a real mod developer to rate what I made from 1 to 10. And we're starting with the new spear weapon. Now, I actually really like the model for this one. Unlike some previous weapons, there's not really a lot to complain about. I mean, it's a blade on a stick. How do you even make that more complicated than it already is? Well, you start with a 3D handle for one, then you add a socket and an end cap. Let's see, spear anatomy. What else we got here? Not much, it turns out. I guess we could add these fancy pants red handles with ribbons coming off the side. Oh yeah, now we're moving. It looks similar to the vanilla spear, and it's looking pretty good, I'd say. My favorite part is that lunge enchantment. It really makes you feel like Silk Song. Originally, you could only do it like 3 times before the weapon just breaks, and I was prepared to complain about that for half the video, but they fixed it by making it cost hunger instead, which is just so much better. But this isn't exactly going to impress the mod developer, so I started brainstorming new ways to overcomplicate this thing. I built out a whole Millinote board of all the reference
Place to
material
that
I could
portal
find,
there.
and I decided the only
Other
way
than
to get
this
through this
portal.
one is to make multiple models per model, which is actually completely possible through the use of enchantment variants. You know,
Come on!
when you put the Bane of Arthropods enchantment on one of your weapons? Yeah, me neither. But what if, instead of doing nothing, the model itself changed to look more arthropodinly baneful? I started drawing a bunch of new blade shapes to fit the different enchantment combinations. For sharpness, I'm thinking piercing, plunge attacks, so I basically made the spearhead longer and thinner. We can even set up different phases depending on the enchantment level. For mine, I added 3 different phases that occur at level 1, 3, and 5, which is the maximum for these kinds of enchantments. Next, I made the Smite
Smite variants. These are supposed to be used for undead creatures, so I'm thinking Jagged, Psyche. That kind of looks like an axe head, but we're gonna roll right with it. Next, for Bane of Arthropods, since the enchantment targets bugs, I'm thinking wide surface area, sweeping attack kind of stuff. So I went with this rounder, double-sided design. And there's still a spear tip, so it's still, well, now there is. There's a lot more ways to expand on the whole enchantment variant thing. Believe me, I had a whole blueprint laid out for how far I could take the concept. But for now, this should probably be craftable with more materials than iron. So I started retexturing all 10 of the blade types I made using all the typical tool materials. For wood, I made it a lot more primitive looking by getting rid of the handles. I even got rid of the ribbons. They're still there technically, they're just invisible since that part of the texture went to the milk store. For the stone version, I made the caps creep onto the handle a little bit. Looks more sturdy that way. Iron gets the handles back. I'm trying to make it feel like there's a progression here without explicitly changing the model due to performance and my crippling laziness. For the gold variant, I extended the handles 2 or 3 pixels. Diamond actually starts wrapping the handle in more of the cap material. And by the time we hit netherite, there's only like 5 pixels of wood left over. I'd love to say it was a pain, but all I did was set up these color palettes for each material and then hit replace colors a whole bunch. Honestly, could be worse. Could be a lot worse. And finally, I made a heavy core variant called the Heavy Spear, since I already made a heavy mace and a heavy bow and a heavy hammer. Figured I might as well complete the set here. I'm using that breeze rod texture for the handle again. It looks great, and we hit a grand total of 70 possible combinations with the different blade types and materials. And that is how you make a blade on a stick 10 times more complicated than it needs to be. I think the only thing I would change now is maybe giving the lunge some slight angle control. I don't know, maybe when you lunge into slime, it should bounce off the other way. But honestly, I really like this one. I think Mojang cooked here, and all the improvements I could even think of are mostly just visual at the end of the day. My friend made these inventory icons, which I kind of think are better already, like by themselves. But if I'm going to impress the mod developer, I'm going to need this next weapon to be significantly more weird, so hear me out. Wait, did I forget the copper variant? Eh, who cares? The next item I want to redesign is the Nautilus shell. It's basically only used to craft the conduit, which is kind of crazy since they added 2 whole new mobs for this item now. So I made a new Milanote board to start coming up with weapon ideas for this thing. Milanote is basically this collaborative reference board for organizing stuff like this. You can put pictures on it and draw on it, so it's useful for visualizing whatever's in your head. I am a mentally sound individual. For this weapon, I started plugging in a bunch of art references and different routes I could go with this one. Maybe we do a throwing star or an armor piece. Nautilus shell ideas. Let's see. Fertilizer. That's cool. I'm dreaming bigger though. Milanote's great for organizing art projects, school projects, not to mention tons of these cool templates to get you started. You can put boards inside of your boards inside of your boards. If you had friends, they could even collaborate with you in real time. You can leave comments. That's fantastic. Aren't comments just the best? So check out Milanote using my link in the description. It's actually free to get started with no time limit, so there's no reason not to give it a try. There's even a mobile version if you're into that kind of thing. Big thanks to Milanote for sponsoring. Let's get back to the video. Out of all the possible things to make out of a Nautilus shell, I decided to go with a shield, which sounds pretty boring, but it's not, and you'll see in just a second. I started by just ripping the base texture from the new Nautilus mob. I don't know if you're keeping up with the news, but they're basically a new underwater mount. There's even a zombie version. And now that I have the texture, it's pretty easy to just split up into layers and give it that 3D shape illusion. It even has the hole still. You know, this shield has some pretty dark implications now that I'm looking at it again. Add a quick handle on the back and it's looking pretty good. It's a lot shorter than the regular shield. It's honestly more like a buckler or something. But it's kind of nice that it takes up less of the field of view, I guess. But it wouldn't be very fun if it was just a regular shield with shell model. So I decided to make a couple changes. So it still works like a normal shield. You just hold right click and it blocks attacks exactly like the other one. However, if you left click while blocking, you actually throw the shield and it starts spinning around like a death trap Beyblade and shredding everything in the vicinity. When I made the mood board for this one, it's like the hat from Super Mario Odyssey, but like somehow less disturbing from a psychological perspective. So it spins out like 10 blocks ahead and then stops for a couple seconds before dropping on the floor. You can use it to clear out hordes, you can use it to clear your mob farm. It's honestly pretty overpowered, but using it like this does drain the durability pretty fast, so it's not too game breaking. It's also pretty easy to drop into a cliff by accident, so don't do that. I guess we could make it that the loyalty enchantment makes it boomerang back to you to prevent that kind of thing. Knockback enchantment gives it more knockback, sharpness enchantment does more damage. Pretty standard stuff at this point, but I couldn't help but feel like it was missing something
something. And that's when I got the bright idea for a completely new enchantment. And I can't believe Mojang didn't already make this one, which means it's probably a terrible idea. I'm calling it the homing enchantment. It can have like 3 different levels, and when you put it on a bow, it makes the arrows curve slightly towards hostile entities in a cone-shaped projection. And the higher the level, the more extreme that curve gets. Imagine a skeleton spawns with this. That's just too far, man. These guys already have aimbot. It feels really fun to use, although it does make it impossible to shoot something behind a target, since that's what homing is. But that's a trade-off I'm willing to make. It even works on crossbows, which is extra nice since they take so long to charge. And it also works on the Nautilus shield. And now when you throw it, it starts ominously approaching the nearest entities faster and faster depending on the enchantment level. Yeah, I have a feeling this enchantment is a terrible idea somehow, but I'm not sure why yet, so, you know, it's greenlit. Wonder what else this enchantment could work for. Maybe an anvil? Maybe it homes in on the... You know what? You guys tell me your ideas, maybe I'll add it. Anyway, the real reason I made this thing actually loops all the way back to the spear from the beginning of the video. If you touch the shield while it's moving, you take damage and knockback just like everybody else, but the shield actually returns to your inventory, which means if you are cracked out of your mind, you can throw the shield, lunge into it, throw it again, lunge, and just keep chaining movement upward until you run out of food, health, durability, or all of the above. There's so many weird ways to use this thing for movement. It's like a portable TNT cannon you can just keep using. I'm always a big fan of that kind of stuff, relatively simple mechanics that you can abuse with a massive skill ceiling. I haven't even scratched the surface of the possibilities here, but it doesn't matter what I think, because after this weapon, my time was over, and it was finally time for the mod developer to judge my work.
Okay, so things I like about this, I really like that the enchantment changes the model. I really like that the quality of the item adds a little ribbon on there. It's a nice little detail that's not the most overt, but really does make the weapons feel a little more distinct. And then the enchantment changing what kind of blade is on the weapon is really enjoyable. It makes your weapon feel more like your weapon. This one is customized. It is different than the rest. That's just something that I really adore, especially in Minecraft, where customization is like the whole game. And then the only thing I don't like about this is I actually am not a fan of the flat texture for the blade. I do actually prefer the 1 pixel wide texture. All right, if I had to give this one a score out of 10, I would say that this is like an 8 out of 10. But considering what Mojang is trying to do with the spear, I'm gonna give this one like a 9.5. I vastly prefer this over what they're actually gonna do. Things I like about this, I love the feeling of throwing something and having it come back to you, just in general. That is like a thing that I've always liked. In Dungeons and Dragons, I used to get that enchantment on my weapons as often as possible. I love that. The only thing I don't like about this, the base damage just seems kind of low when you're fighting monsters, but other than that, I loved it. I'm gonna give this one a 9 out of 10 base, and then the fact that the Nautilus shell doesn't do anything in Minecraft adds another half a point, so this is a 9.5 out of 10.
With that, I successfully managed to impress the mod developer, but this isn't over until it's 10s every single time. Thanks again to Milanote for sponsoring my slow and steady descent into madness. If you're full of creative ideas like I am, and by creative I mean whatever this thing is, I'm sure you'll love it. Check it out. Link in description as per usual. See ya. I'm a 3D artist, and in this video, I turned 10 basic Minecraft items into the most ridiculously over-engineered versions I could possibly think of, and even showed them to a real mod developer to get his reaction. And we're starting with Stone Shovel. Wow, great start. It's not really a complicated item, so I decided to keep it simple with a 3D handle, metal grips, a chain, and a slightly more dangerous shovel head. I call it the Shovel Flail. Real creative name, I know. I think it would work like a normal shovel, but if you hold right-click, you start twirling it around like a madman, which is useful because... Next weapon. Hopefully we don't get something stupid again, like a acacia boat. That's so much better. I ended up making a lava boat made out of netherite. It's got the golden propeller, a fully modeled out interior. It's even got a steering wheel. But Daniel, you ask, how is this a weapon? Most boats in real life create a wake behind them. So maybe you could splash lava at stuff? Okay, yeah, it's a bit of a stretch. It turned out decently, but I was really unhappy with the patterns and how simple they were. Minecraft textures usually have a broad color palette, so drawing strips of like 3 colors isn't exactly impressive. So for my next weapon, I wanted to focus on more detail. As long as I don't get something really bad like a, I don't know, Excuse me? After a 3-hour existential crisis, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Potapult. The design is based on an Onager catapult, which uses a winch system to introduce tension before releasing the arm into a beam, which transfers the energy to the projectile. Honestly, this already looks way better than my usual pixel art, but to understand why, you also have to understand color palettes. Digital colors have 3 components: hue, saturation, and value. Usually I use monochromatic gradients, but in most pixel art, it's better to have multi-hue palettes instead. We can make these shades of brown more interesting by shifting the darker tones to red. Or in other words, those colors are ugly. I really like how it turned out, but I spent way too long on this, so I gotta pick up the pace for the next one. I have a grand total of 30 minutes, and it's starting now. Wait, what? Mojang Band? What even is that? I might just be losing my mind, but doesn't this look kind of like a chakram? Well, it's not as cool as the Potapult. I kept the design of the logo the same and just kind of added a handle. I'm working with scraps here, okay? Moving on. Next, we're doing raw salmon. Ugh, honestly, could be worse. Alert. This is a peak warning for my peak sensitive viewers out there. You might want to sit this one out. Salmon on a stick, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. It's got the salmon. It's got the stick. Behold, true great. Okay, it's maybe a little too lazy. It's also not a weapon. You know how you can use a carrot on a stick for riding pigs? Well, you can use the salmon on a stick to ride a bear. Go ahead and take a wild guess where all the effort went on this one. I'm pretty happy with how the textures turned out, but if I'm gonna impress the mod developer, I need to take things to the next level. It's not easy trying to turn grass clippings into weapons of mass destruction, and I have to reference a lot of art. Thankfully, this video is sponsored by Display. They sell these really high quality posters which look great. I'm like scared to mess it up. Oh wait, no I'm not. It's made of metal. As a member of the metal community, I gotta say, this stuff really gets me. Displate offers over 2 million artworks to choose from. That way there's something for everyone. They use this magnet mounting system. That way there's no tools, no holes. Everything you need comes in the box. Yep, I may have improperly aligned the displate. Good news is it's just magnets. Like, if you ever want to switch out the design, it